There is a moment in every person's life when the noise of the world goes silent, when the doubts, the distractions, the endless stream of meaningless obligations fade into the background, and a single truth rises to the surface like the sun breaking through a storm. You were not born to drift. You were born to aim. Every man and woman who has ever bent the course of history to their will began at the same starting line, not with resources, not with privilege, not even with talent, but with a definite purpose that became the heartbeat of their existence. Thomas Edison was not just interested in electricity, he was consumed by it. While others saw light as a convenience, he saw it as destiny. He failed 10,000 times, but you only call them failures when the end is unclear. To Edison, each attempt was simply another step toward a conclusion he had already decided would happen. He had chosen the destination before the journey began. Andrew Carnegie came to America with nothing but his hands and his hunger. He worked 12-hour days for pennies, yet every swing of the hammer was powered by an inner vision of empire. He saw steel cities before the first beam was ever forged. His definite purpose was not a wish, it was a demand he placed upon himself. And when a man demands enough of himself, the world eventually bends to meet that demand. But here's the truth, the modern world will not tell you. Most people do not fail because they lack ability, they fail because they lack decision. They wander through life like ships without a compass, drifting wherever the current of circumstance takes them. And a drifting ship will never find a safe harbor, it will only crash on the rocks of regret. If you do not choose your direction, someone else will choose it for you. If you do not define your mission, you will be pulled into serving someone else's. And if you do not have a purpose so strong that it keeps you awake at night, you will find yourself sleeping through your own life. Napoleon Hill wrote that definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Not some achievement, all achievement. The world's great builders, thinkers, creators, and leaders were not carried to success by accident. They were pulled toward it by the gravitational force of a purpose so clear, so commanding, that it made every decision simple. Does this move me toward my purpose or away from it? A clear purpose acts like a magnet to the resources, the people, and the opportunities you need. But it also repels everything that does not belong. That is why many people avoid it, because once you know what you're here to do, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer pretend that drifting is acceptable. Think of Henry Ford before the world believed in affordable automobiles. He believed so fiercely that he ignored every voice telling him it was impossible. His engineers said it could not be done. Experts said the market would never support it. But Ford's definite purpose was not up for negotiation. He simply told his team, build it anyway, and they did. Purpose makes you unshakable because it turns obstacles into detours instead of dead ends. Without it, every challenge feels like a reason to quit. With it, every challenge feels like proof that you are on the right path. But understand this, a definite purpose is not a vague dream written on a vision board. It is not a New Year's resolution scribbled in a journal. It is a living force inside you, so demanding that it reshapes your identity. It is the thing you will sacrifice for, fight for, and if necessary, rebuild your life for. Look back at history. Abraham Lincoln did not fight for a better government. His purpose was to preserve the Union and end the moral catastrophe of slavery. Walt Disney did not set out to make cartoons. His purpose was to create a world where imagination had no limits. Martin Luther King Jr. did not march for policy change. His purpose was to awaken the conscience of a nation. You must decide what is the single mission that will define your existence. Not 10 missions, not a dozen goals scattered across your calendar. One purpose so powerful that it burns away every distraction. Because when you have that kind of clarity, discipline is no longer a struggle. It becomes automatic. You wake up early not because you should, but because your mission will not let you sleep. You say no to temptations not because of willpower, but because they feel irrelevant to the destiny you are building. You endure pain not because you enjoy it, but because you've already seen the promised land in your mind, and nothing will keep you from reaching it. Most people are afraid to choose one purpose because they fear being wrong. But here's the truth. It is not choosing the wrong purpose that destroys people. It is living without one at all. A wrong purpose can be refined, redirected, rebuilt. But a life without purpose is a candle in the wind, flickering without ever lighting the darkness. So choose. Choose now. Plant your flag in the ground. Declare to yourself and to the world, this is who I am. This is what I will do. This is why I will not stop. Once you choose, something strange begins to happen. The world will test you. It will not congratulate you immediately for your newfound clarity. It will resist you. It will throw storms in your path, close doors in your face, and whisper in your ear that you were foolish to commit. This is not a sign to stop. This is proof that your decision matters. Every mountain worth climbing has an avalanche waiting for the uncommitted. And here's the truth. The avalanche is not sent to destroy you. It's sent to strip away your weakness. It's sent to reveal whether your purpose is a passing mood or an unbreakable vow. When Edison's lab burned to the ground in 1914, taking with it years of experiments, he didn't collapse. He didn't call it fate and walk away. He told his son, "Go get your mother. She'll never see anything like this again." And in the smoke of destruction, he began planning his next steps. A man without a definite purpose would have called it the end. A man with a definite purpose calls it a turning point. You must understand your definite purpose will not politely knock on your door and hand you results. It will demand your loyalty. It will require that you give more than you think you have. It will stretch you until the person you were is unrecognizable. That is the price of greatness, and this is where most people break. They want the treasure, but they do not want the map that demands a dangerous journey. They want the applause without the lonely nights, the victory without the battle scars. But history remembers only those who stood in the fire and refused to step out. When Andrew Carnegie was building his steel empire, the market crashed, competitors folded, friends turned to enemies, and yet he doubled down. Why? Because his purpose was not tied to convenience. It was tied to vision. He knew where he was going, and he understood that storms do not sink ships with determined captains, they make them better navigators. And here's the paradox. Once you truly commit to your definite purpose, you will find that the tests, the losses, and the setbacks are not roadblocks. They are the training ground for the strength you will need when your vision finally comes to life. A purpose without resistance will make you soft. A purpose tested by fire will make you unstoppable. Look at Walt Disney before Disneyland was built. Bankers turned him away, telling him the idea was ridiculous. Some even laughed at him. He was denied, rejected, humiliated. But his purpose refused to die. And because of that, millions of families now walk through a place that once existed only in the mind of a man who refused to surrender his vision to the small imaginations of others. Your definite purpose will demand this same resilience. It will demand that you see beyond the rejection, beyond the laughter, beyond the temporary defeat. Napoleon Hill called this applied faith, the ability to act as if success is certain, even when the evidence says otherwise. Applied faith does not blind optimism, it is disciplined belief. It is the kind of belief that looks at the empty field and sees the skyscraper, that hears the silence and knows the orchestra is coming, that feels the weight of failure and says, "I will rise anyway." But belief alone is not enough. Purpose without action is a dream that will die in your mind. You must take steps every day, no matter how small, no matter how difficult, no matter how invisible they seem to the outside world. Success is rarely built in grand gestures. It is forged in the repeated hammering of consistent action. Think of a blacksmith shaping steel. Each strike of the hammer may seem insignificant on its own, but over time, each blow shapes something unbreakable. Your daily actions are those blows. Each one is an act of defiance against the pull of mediocrity. But here is the danger: without a definite purpose, those blows scatter in different directions, and nothing is ever truly shaped. That is why people work hard for decades and end up nowhere. They never aim their effort at a single consuming mission. With purpose, however, even the smallest action becomes part of a masterpiece. You can withstand boredom. You can endure the grind. You can face days when nothing seems to move forward, because you know that movement is happening beneath the surface. And when the day comes that your results finally break through and the world sees what you have been building in the shadows, they will call you lucky. They will say you had good timing. But you will know the truth. You had a definite purpose, and you refused to let go. So let the world doubt you, let them underestimate you, let them laugh, because there is nothing more dangerous to mediocrity than a human being who has decided they will not stop until their purpose is fulfilled. There will come a day when your purpose is all you have left. The money will run low, the applause will fade, the motivation you once felt will vanish like smoke in the wind, and on that day when there is no cheering crowd, when there is no instant reward, your definite purpose will be the only thing standing between you and surrender. This is the great filter of life, the moment when the weak turn back and the committed push forward. Every great leader, every builder, every innovator has stood at this crossroads. Abraham Lincoln stood there during the darkest days of the Civil War, when defeat seemed inevitable and the nation was tearing itself apart. People called him a failure, a fool, even a tyrant. But Lincoln's purpose was not up for a public vote. He did not wait for permission to hold the Union together. He made the decision that the Union would survive. And he bent every day, every action, every word toward that end. This is the essence of a definite purpose. It becomes so deeply ingrained in you that it no longer feels like a goal. It feels like oxygen. You do not try to pursue it. You breathe it, you live it. And once you reach that level of connection to your purpose, something extraordinary happens. Discipline stops feeling like a burden. You no longer need to drag yourself into the work. The work becomes your natural state. Distractions lose their grip on you. Temptations feel empty. Why? Because they offer nothing compared to the vision you carry inside. But beware. Clarity of purpose will set you apart from the majority, and the majority will resent you for it. Your relentless focus will be seen as arrogance. Your unwillingness to compromise will be mistaken for stubbornness. Your refusal to live like everyone else will make others feel threatened. You must be prepared for this isolation, because the path of definite purpose is a lonely one. Napoleon Hill himself observed that success requires no explanations. Failure permits no alibis. Those who walk without purpose will not understand you. They will demand explanations. You cannot give, they will try to drag you back into the fog they have accepted as home. And this is where courage comes in. Purpose without courage dies in the face of opposition. You must be willing to walk alone for seasons of your life, holding your purpose like a torch in the dark, even when no one follows you. Remember, Henry Ford was ridiculed before he was revered. Walt Disney was mocked before he was celebrated. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television before she became an icon. They were all out of step with the crowd because the crowd was walking toward nowhere. Your purpose will make you different, and difference makes people uncomfortable. But difference is also the birthplace of greatness. Now, there is a trap here that even the ambitious fall into. The trap of waiting for perfect conditions before committing fully to their purpose. They say, I'll start when I have more money, more time, more support. They wait for the world to lay out a red carpet before they move forward. But the truth is this, the world lays out the red carpet only after you've walked through. The mud. Conditions will never be perfect. The timing will never feel flawless. The support will rarely be unanimous. Your purpose must be pursued in the middle of chaos, in the face of uncertainty, in spite of fear. Because waiting for perfection is another form of procrastination dressed up as logic. Thomas Edison did not wait for flawless equipment before he began. He built, tested, failed, rebuilt, all with tools that would make a modern engineer laugh. But his purpose did not care about the tools. It demanded results. And so he found a way. And that is the real measure of commitment. Not how you perform when the path is clear, but how you respond when the path is blocked. Do you stop and complain about the obstacle? Or do you find another route, dig under the wall, or burn through it entirely? A definite purpose will demand this kind of resourcefulness. It will ask you to think in ways you've never thought before, to learn skills you never imagined you'd need, to push yourself into discomfort until discomfort becomes your comfort zone. And the longer you stay true to it, the more the world will begin to respond. People will appear who can help you. Resources will surface that you once thought impossible to obtain. Doors will open that once seemed permanently locked. This is not magic. It is the inevitable result of a mind that is so fixed on a target that it begins to see opportunities others overlooked. Because the truth is, opportunity is not rare. It is everywhere. But only a definite purpose gives you the lens to recognize it. The man without purpose sees random events. The man with purpose sees stepping stones. The man without purpose sees coincidence. The man with purpose sees confirmation. The man without purpose sees obstacles. The man with purpose sees the shape of his own training. And when that shift happens, when you begin to live every day as if the world is conspiring to help you achieve your mission, you become unstoppable. There is a reason the old master spoke of purpose as if it were a living force, because once it takes root in your mind, it begins to breathe, it begins to grow, it shapes your habits, rewires your thinking, and even changes the way you carry yourself in the world. You will notice it first in small ways. Your posture will straighten when you speak about it. Your tone will sharpen when someone questions it. You will find yourself scanning every conversation, every room, every article you read for something, anything that can serve your mission. And when you find it, you will act without hesitation. This is what separates the drifter from the driver. A drifter waits for a sign. A driver becomes a sign. A drifter asks, what should I do today? A driver says, here's what must be done. Napoleon Hill wrote about the two types of people he met in his decades of studying the wealthy and successful. The first group had no aim, no direction, no burning desire. They lived reactively, waiting for circumstances to tell them who they were. These people floated like leaves in the wind, impressive for a moment, but always at the mercy of the next breeze. The second group was entirely different. They were not the most educated, not the most gifted, and often not the most experienced, but they had chosen a purpose. And they pursued it with such intensity that it seemed the universe itself leaned in to clear the way. These people became the titans of industry, the leaders of nations, the names etched into history. You must decide which group you belong to, and you must decide now, because every day you delay in defining your purpose is a day your energy leaks into things that do not matter. And here's the cruel truth. The world will happily consume your time and your talent for its own purposes. If you do not claim them for yours, purpose is not found by accident. It is not hiding under a rock waiting to be discovered. Purpose is created, is forged through reflection, decision, and an unshakable vow to pursue what you have chosen. You do not find your calling like a lost coin. You decide what you will give your life to, and then you begin the work of building it into reality. And when you do, the world changes around you. Your definite purpose becomes a filter through which all decisions are made. The irrelevant falls away, your social circle shifts. You no longer seek validation from people who do not understand your mission, because you are too busy executing it. This is why a definite purpose is so rare, because it demands that you leave behind the comfort of indecision. It demands that you take ownership of your life in a way that leaves no one else to blame if you fail. And most people are not willing to carry that weight. But you must be different. You must be willing to put your name on your mission as if it were carved into stone. You must be willing to let it define you, even before it is visible to anyone else. Think of the great explorers who set sail into the unknown. They did not wait until the map was complete. They declared their destination and then trusted themselves to find the way. Purpose is the same. You declare the end before you see the path, and then you build the path as you go. And here's the paradox. The very act of committing to a definite purpose brings the path into view. The opportunities you needed were always there, but they were invisible until you had something worth applying them to. There is a story Hill told about a man named Edwin C. Barnes, a man who decided he would become a business partner with Thomas Edison. Not work for him, not learn from him, become his partner. Barnes had no money, no influence, no technical skill, but he had a purpose so clear that it consumed him. He traveled to Edison's office, announced his intention, and was turned away from the partnership but offered a lowly job instead. Most would have quit. Barnes did not. For years he worked in obscurity, always keeping his purpose alive. And one day, when Edison needed someone to sell a new invention called the dictating machine, Barnes stepped forward. He sold it with such passion that Edison made him a partner. Barnes did not get lucky. He simply refused to let go of his definite purpose. And that is the choice you must make. Will you be the person who tries for a while and then moves on to something else when the path gets hard? Or will you be the person who decides once and for all that this and only this is the mission you will see through to the end? Because once you make that decision, you will discover something that every true builder of greatness knows. Life's real magic is not in reaching the destination. It is in becoming the kind of person who could reach it in the first place. And that transformation, that reshaping of your very being, only happens under the relentless weight of a definite purpose. A definite purpose, once claimed, begins to feel less like a choice and more like a destiny. It is no longer something you work on. It becomes the reason you wake up, the reason you keep going when the world says stop, the reason you endure storms others would drown in. But understand this, your purpose will not politely coexist with the life you had before. It will demand sacrifices. It will demand the shedding of habits, of relationships, of comforts that no longer fit the person you are becoming. Like a blacksmith shaping a blade, the fire will burn away the impurities until only the strongest steel remains. Discipline will stop being something you force. It will become your instinct. Why? Because when the end is clear, every step feels necessary. When you know where you're going, hesitation dies. You don't waste your energy on should I. You move, you execute, you decide. The world will notice this change in you. Some will admire it, others will fear it. Many will try to pull you back into the fog because your clarity makes their confusion unbearable. This is where you must stand firm, because the moment you surrender your purpose to make others comfortable, you have already lost it. History will never remember the people who blended in. It remembers the ones who stood alone if necessary, who walked forward when no one clapped, who built when no one believed. Edison, Carnegie, Ford, Lincoln, Disney, they all faced moments where the entire world seemed to conspire against them. And yet, they pressed forward, driven not by chance but by choice. And now, the choice is yours, not tomorrow, not when the time is right. Now, you must plant your flag in the ground and declare, this is the hill I will climb. This is the life I will build. This is the vision I will make real. Because once you decide, truly decide, the fear of failure begins to fade. You realize that the only real failure is quitting, and that as long as you move forward even 1 inch at a time, you are still in the fight. You learn to see setbacks as detours, obstacles as training, rejection as proof that you are chasing something worth having. And when that day comes, the day your vision finally stands before you in the real world, no longer just a picture, in your mind you will not call it luck. You will know with unshakable certainty that it was the natural result of a decision you made long ago. The decision to live with a definite purpose. From that moment on, you will never look at life the same way again, because you will have proven to yourself that the world bends for the committed, that no obstacle can withstand the force of a human being who has decided they will not stop. So step forward. Choose your purpose, own it, protect it, live it, and do not let it go, not for comfort, not for fear, because a life without purpose is not a life at all, and a life with it is unstoppable.